echoes of wisdom, where your spiritual journey begins.
All right, Christine, I'm genuinely excited about today's topic. It's one of those legends that just grabs everyone, you know? The lost city of Atlantis. Just saying the name conjures up so many images.
Absolutely, John. It's an enduring mystery, a real cultural touchstone. I mean, who hasn't at some point dreamt of finding a technologically advanced sunken city full of incredible treasures and ancient wisdom? It's just irresistible.
Right? For me, it's always been this blend of high-tech marvels, crystal palaces, and then this sudden, catastrophic end. But where did it all start? Was it just a bedtime story, or is there something more to it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The foundation of almost everything we know or think we know about Atlantis comes from one primary source, the Greek philosopher Plato. He introduced the story in two of his dialogues, Timaeus's and Critias, around 360 BC.
Plato, so we're talking about one of the giants of Western philosophy. He wasn't exactly known for fairy tales, was he?
Precisely, and that's part of why the legend has such weight. Plato presented Atlantis not as a myth he invented, but as a historical account passed down through generations. He claimed it was recounted to his ancestor Solon by Egyptian priests during Solon's travels.
Okay, so it has this ancient, almost first-hand feel, even if it's many times removed. What did Plato actually say about it? What was Atlantis like according to his description?
He described it as a naval power, located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which we know today as the Strait of Gibraltar. It was enormous, larger than Libya and Asia Minor combined, and was the wealthiest, most powerful empire of its time, supposedly existing about 9,000 years before Plato's era.
9,000 years before him. That's ancient. So we're talking about roughly 11,000 years ago from our current perspective. That's way back, predating most established civilizations we know.
Exactly. And the descriptions were vivid. A city built on concentric rings of land and water, connected by canals, with incredible architecture, advanced engineering, and a highly organized society. They had vast mineral wealth, including this mysterious metal called orichalcum, said to shimmer with a fiery light.
Orichalcum, that just sounds cool. So it wasn't just grand, it was technologically advanced too for its time.
Absolutely. They were supposedly master engineers, constructing massive harbors, bridges, and an elaborate system of hot and cold springs for bathing. But here's the crucial part. Plato's story wasn't just about describing a paradise. It was a moral tale.
Ah, the downfall. I remember snippets of that. Hubris, right? They grew too powerful, too corrupt?
Precisely. The Atlanteans, originally virtuous and godlike descendants of Poseidon, gradually became corrupted by greed and a hunger for power. They started invading other lands, including Athens. It was this moral decay that led to their ultimate destruction.
So the gods, or some divine force, decided enough was enough and wiped them off the map in a single day and night of misfortune. Earthquakes, floods, total annihilation.
Yes, a cataclysmic event that sank the entire island into the sea. Plato used Atlantis as a cautionary tale to illustrate his philosophical ideals, the dangers of imperial ambition, the importance of virtue, and the eventual triumph of a righteous, humble society, represented by ancient Athens, over a decadent, powerful one.
That's fascinating, because it immediately raises the question, was Plato making this up to teach a lesson, or was he relaying an actual historical event, perhaps embellished over time?
Exactly. And that's where the real debate begins. For centuries, scholars have been divided. Some argue it's pure allegory, a philosophical device. Others believe there's a kernel of truth, a distant memory of a real catastrophic event that inspired the story.
I lean towards wanting it to be real, personally. It's just too good a story to be entirely fiction. But if it was real, where do people think it could have been?
Oh, the search for Atlantis is a whole saga in itself. There have been countless proposed locations, literally spanning the globe. Because Plato said beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the most obvious place to look is the Atlantic Ocean.
Right, the name Atlantic even sounds like Atlantis, doesn't it?
It does, and some theorists point to the Azores, the Canary Islands, or even further west into the Caribbean. But the biggest issue there is the depth of the Atlantic. Sinking an entire continent-sized landmass landmass would require geological forces beyond anything we typically see in recorded history.
So the continent-sized part of Plato's description might be an exaggeration or a mistranslation, or simply a poetic flourish for an allegory.
That's a strong possibility. Many modern researchers who believe in a historical Atlantis tend to look for smaller, more plausible candidates. One of the most compelling theories centers around the volcanic island of Thera, modern-day Santorini, in the Aegean Sea.
Santorini? That's a beautiful place, known for its whitewashed villages and blue domes. What's the connection there?
Well, around 1600 BC, Thera experienced one of the largest volcanic eruptions in human history, the Minoan eruption. It essentially blew the center out of the island, creating the caldera we see today, and generating massive tsunamis.
Okay, so a single day and night of misfortune and a powerful civilization suddenly disappearing into the sea. That sounds eerily familiar to Plato's account.
It does. And the Minoan civilization, which flourished on Crete and nearby islands, was powerful, artistic, and sophisticated for its time. They had advanced plumbing, frescoes, and a strong naval presence. The eruption severely impacted them, possibly leading to their decline. The timeline, though, is off from Plato's 9,000 years.
Right, 1600 BC versus 9,000 BC. That's a huge difference. But perhaps the 9,000 years was a mistranslation of 900 years, or just an exaggeration to make the story feel ancient.
Many proponents of the Thera theory argue exactly that. The Egyptian priests could have multiplied a unit of time by 10, or it was lost in translation. Or perhaps it was deliberately exaggerated to emphasize the extreme antiquity of the tale. The parallels in destruction are certainly striking.
What about other recent discoveries or theories that pop up every few years?
Oh, there are always new ones. One that gained traction a few years back was the Richat structure in Mauritania, often called the Eye of the Sahara. It's a huge circular geological formation, about 30 miles in diameter, with concentric rings.
I've seen pictures of that from space. It looks almost artificial, like a bullseye, but it's in the middle of a desert now, not beyond the Pillars of Hercules.
Precisely. The argument there is that during the last ice age, the Sahara was a much wetter, greener place, potentially even navigable, and some interpret beyond the Pillars of Hercules more broadly, as simply west of the Mediterranean. It's an intriguing visual match for the concentric city, but geologically it's a naturally occurring dome, not a sunken city.
Still, it makes you wonder if ancient people saw something like that and incorporated it into their stories. What about underwater anomalies like the Bimini Road in the Bahamas?
Ah, the Bimini Road. That's a classic. It's an underwater rock formation that looks like a paved road or a wall. Discovered in the 1960s, it fueled a lot of speculation about a lost civilization in the Caribbean.
It definitely looks man-made in photos, very regular blocks.
It does. However, geological studies largely conclude it's a natural formation called beach rock, where sand and sediment harden into coherent slabs. Over time, erosion can break it into surprisingly regular shapes. While it's visually suggestive, there's no archaeological evidence to support it being part of a city.
So a lot of fascinating ideas, but no definitive proof. It seems like for every discovery, there's a scientific explanation to temper the excitement.
That's often the case with ancient mysteries, isn't it? The further back in time we go, the more difficult it is to separate fact from legend. What's undeniable is the sheer power of Plato's narrative. It tapped into something fundamental in the human psyche, the idea of a golden age, a technologically superior past, and the dangers of moral decline.
Yeah, it feels like it touches on universal themes. Every culture has its flood myths, its tales of advanced societies that fell due to pride or divine wrath. Atlantis just happens to be the most famous and detailed version from the Western tradition.
Exactly. And it continues to inspire. Think of all the books, movies, video games, and even spiritual movements that draw on the Atlantis legend. It's a testament to the power of a compelling story, whether it's literal history or a brilliant allegory.
It makes me think about what we consider lost today. We have so much information, so much technology. Could we lose a whole city, a whole civilization, and have it become a myth in a few thousand years?
It's a sobering thought, isn't it? Natural disasters still occur, sea levels are rising, and even the most advanced societies are vulnerable. Perhaps the legend of Atlantis is a perpetual reminder of our own fragility and the cyclical nature of civilization.
So if you had to put money on it, Christine, real or allegory?
Oh, that's tough. I'd say it's highly unlikely to be a literal, continent-sized empire that vanished exactly as Plato described, but I do believe it's plausible that Plato took inspiration from a real catastrophic event like the Thera eruption and woven it into a much grander, philosophically charged narrative. So perhaps a myth with a historical spark.
I like that, myth with a historical spark. That feels like a satisfying way to reconcile the enduring mystery with the archaeological and geological realities. It allows us to keep dreaming of what might have been while appreciating the wisdom in the story.
Exactly. The legend of Atlantis challenges us to explore the unknown, to question our history, and to reflect on our own societal values. It's more than just a search for a sunken city, it's a search for ourselves.
Beautifully put, Christine. Well, whether it's resting at the bottom of the Atlantic or simply living in our imaginations, the story of Atlantis will continue to captivate us for generations to come. Thank you for shedding some light on this incredible legend today.
My pleasure, John. It's truly one of my favorite topics to dive into.